It's the dystopian future. The year is 2024. Comedy has been outlawed. Anyone who dares to tell a joke is sent to re-education camps where they are lobotomized by a liberal doctor, having the humor part of their brain removed so they'll never say something that could hurt a feeling ever again. This is the future that so many comedians pretend is happening, to make it seem like what they do is dangerous, that when you, as an audience member, enter a comedy club, you're a true rebel, taking part in some sort of underground revolution where you're hearing things you could never hear anywhere else, man. I know I've ranted about this before, but please indulge me, because if you like stand-up comedy, you're used to hearing the same takes over and over. I'm sick of comedians starting their sets with these bullshitty warnings. Like, I recently saw Jimmy Carr and he did this. I love Jimmy Carr, but he's been starting his sets for years with this whole, what I'm about to say won't be allowed in 5 years from now. It's barely allowed now. And then he proceeds to tell a bunch of jokes and we all laugh. This setup of, you can't tell jokes no more, is insanely disingenuous. You can tell all the jokes you want, and sometimes people won't like them, and they'll express that on the internet. It's so weird how freedom of speech goes both ways, huh? So, this brings me to Matt Rife. If you don't know who he is, ask your wife or girlfriend. She knows. Matt's a young, pretty boy comedian who has gained a massive following on TikTok and Instagram, where audiences heavily skew young and female. Every time I've ever asked someone if they've heard of Matt Rife, they go, "Oh yeah, that's my girlfriend's favorite comedian." Well, him and Bo Burnham. He's been self-releasing his comedy specials on YouTube for the last few years, uploading clips to Instagram and TikTok, which has led him to hitting the big time. That's right, his own Netflix special. That's truly the MLB, the NBA, the NFL of comedy now. Used to be HBO specials, but they're just too busy making 9 episodes of TV every 2 to 3 years. They just couldn't possibly find time to air an hour of stand-up anymore. And in Rife's special, he makes a joke about going to a restaurant and seeing a waitress with a black eye. And his friend says to him, maybe they should just have her work in the kitchen or something where no one has to see her face. And Matt Rife said, "Yeah, but I feel like if she could cook, she wouldn't have that black eye." Now, I want to be clear on this. I'm not offended by the joke. I myself have made so many jokes over the years that have been called misogynist. But the joke is so fucking old that I think I saw dust come out of his mouth when he told it. Family Guy made a similar domestic abuse joke in 1999, over 20 years ago, and the joke wasn't original then. But this is what happens when you leave the comfort of your own audience and expand it by doing something like a Netflix special. People who aren't your regular audience will check you out. And guess what? They might not like you. Netflix goes, "You watch Jim Gaffigan's special. Here's some other stand-up you'd like." You go, "Sure, I'm a mindless drone who just eats what the algorithm feeds me. Let's go!" And then you hear a joke you don't like from a comedian you don't know. So, people express their opinions online. And you know what that means? He was canceled! Comedians, you gotta stop being babies about this. If you believe that no topic is too taboo to talk about, that includes comedians. I've said it before and I'll say it again. With very, very few exceptions, no comedian has ever lost their career over what they said, only over what they did. But this clearly upset Matt Rife, who hasn't stopped responding to the backlash in the dumbest ways possible. First thing he does, he runs to Jordan Peterson's podcast. Now, Jordan Peterson doesn't know a fucking thing about comedy, but he's hilarious. From his Kermit the Frog voice, to his garish suits he thinks are cool, to his movie villain monologues that he thinks are cool, to his constant postings of pictures of the Joker, who he thinks is cool, comedy gold. But Rife went on his podcast, the episode titled Rife for Cancellation, of course, to spend an hour and 13 minutes complaining about cancel culture. Then he did a gig in Florida, the free speech capital of the world, as long as you don't express any negative opinions about the state government, where he spent a significant portion of the time addressing the backlash. And of course, opened with, "If anybody here has come to a comedy show at a comedy club with even the possibility of being offended by a joke, we've arranged a safe space for you. It's located right outside that exit door." Oh, fuck. Somebody get me a Band-Aid, because I just cut myself on the edge. Then, he got in a fight with a 6-year-old boy. Seriously, all this happened in like a 2-week span. Anyway, maybe you heard about this. A video goes viral of Matt Rife doing a joke about astrology girls or something. The clip that's shared is Matt Rife saying, "The stars have nothing to do with it. Just because Jupiter has a ring and you don't." And it cuts to this child saying, "Actually, Saturn has the rings, and you're mean to girls." This was posted by a woman infuriatingly named Bunny, a lifestyle and mommy vlogger who occasionally uses her children as props. That's what Matt Rife should have made fun of. Instead, he replies to the child saying, "Jupiter also has ring. Oh, and Santa Claus isn't real. Your mom buys you presents with the money she makes on OnlyFans. Good luck." "Your mom's a slut and I can't spell," was basically his response to a 6-year-old. Dude, you don't even acknowledge what he said. You have to know that's just going to lead to everyone saying you're bullying a child. And it did. No, if you must respond at all, you attack the mom, because she was 100% in the wrong for using her child as a means to express her dislike of you. And it's weird that she posts pictures of her child right beside her thirst trap posts. Or make fun of the fact that you'd have to be a really shitty mom to let your 6-year-old watch Matt Rife stand up. No, instead, he reacted impulsively because it clearly bothered him that a 6-year-old went viral making a comment about him. It shouldn't have, and he knows that, which is why he deleted the comment, which is the worst thing you can do. That shows you care even more. Now, the biggest misconception I've seen is that Matt Rife is changing to try and get a new audience. So I thought, all right, well, I'll check out his 2021 special, OnlyFans, and see how different that was. And guess what? It's the same shit. He opens the show with, "Y'all ready to get offended?" and spends a few minutes talking about how comedy's changed. Groundbreaking observation, no one's done this before. And then his closer is a whole bit about getting canceled for tweets he wrote when he was 15, when he tweeted a rap lyric with the N-word, which leads to a long explanation about how all of his friends are black. He unironically uses the "my best friends are black" defense. Spends about 15 minutes on this topic, wrapping it up with a weak closer about how he's invited to the proverbial cookout and other white people aren't. That special got 11 million views, and 2 years later, he got a multi-million-dollar Netflix special. So as you can see, while he was truly a victim of cancellation, he also does a big long joke about some pec surgery he needed to get, how it was going to cost $9,000, and that he looked into it and saw that breast implants were $10,000. And the eventual punchline after like 5 minutes is, do I spend the $9,000 or do I spend $10,000, get some titties, and clean up at the Women's Olympics? 2 years later, after South Park had already done the Bored Girls Macho Man episode, by the way. But this is a shtick. He's an edgy comedian. Always has been. He said that his biggest influences are Ricky Gervais and Dave Chappelle. And by biggest influences, he means, I've just rewritten all their material from the last 5 years. But he's not getting canceled. What does he think would happen? Netflix would pull his special? Netflix doesn't care. They didn't do anything about the left complaining about Dave Chappelle's transphobic comedy, and they didn't do anything about the right complaining that they couldn't stop beating off to cuties because they found it too hot. Whatever their complaint was. But the problem is that Matt Rife is too up his own ass to be likable, to be self-effacing, for us to go, oh, he's telling this wife-beating joke from a place of knowing that wife-beating is bad. Because then he posts, if you've ever been offended by a joke I told, here's a link to my official apology. And the link was a shop that sells headgear for the mentally handicapped. Like, he's saying, I'm smart, and the people who like that joke are smart, but if you didn't like that joke, It's because you don't have the mental capacity of someone like me and my real fans. They're smart. You're a dum-dum who needs a special helmet to protect the few brain cells you have left. But you're not smart, and you're certainly not tough. You're fighting with 6-year-olds and running to your own safe space in the form of Jordan Peterson to have your own feelings catered to, because you were offended by the fact that people were offended by you. Why can't everyone either like me or not tell me that they don't like me? Maybe someone needs to send you a link to some chainmail to protect that thin skin of yours.